office on November 8th. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas has expressed concerns over the potential visit of Russian President Vladimir Putin to Hungary for talks on Ukraine. Now, Kaja Kallas has described it as not nice, given that Putin has faced an arrest warrant from the International Criminal Court, which Hungary is in the process of leaving. The question is whether there is any outcome, Kallas has said, questioning the effectiveness of the visit. Let's listen in.
No, it's not nice. I mean, to see that really a person put to the arrest warrant by the ICC is coming to a European country, and again, you know, the question is whether there's any outcome out of this. This is, I think, what we need to see how these things are going in Budapest, as we have been very firm that Russia only negotiates when they are put under pressure. So we hope that also President.
Kallas speaking ahead of a meeting of EU foreign ministers in Luxembourg. She acknowledged U.S. President Donald Trump's efforts to bring peace to the region. Trump had announced plans to meet with President Putin in Budapest soon. Now, while Kallas welcomed the initiative, she emphasized that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky should also meet with the Russian leader. In related developments, Zelensky has confirmed that he had spoken with French President Emmanuel Macron about applying further pressure on Russia to end the war. President Zelensky noted that they had agreed to meet in the near future to discuss the next steps in their strategy. Lithuanian Foreign Minister Kęstutis Budrys has echoed concerns about Putin's visit, saying there was no place for Putin in any European capital and that the Russian president should face justice in The Hague, not in a European city. In contrast, Dutch Foreign Minister has offered a more pragmatic view regarding the possible Trump-Putin talks in Budapest. He has said that the most important thing is that we have a negotiating table, underlining the necessity of dialogue resolving this conflict. Now for this discussion, we welcome Mark Sutherland. He's a geopolitical expert, joins us live from London. Thank you very much, Mark, for joining us again. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Mark, looking at this, it seems like some European countries are criticizing, but some have voiced support or, about the fact that it's necessary for them to hold this talk somewhere in Europe. What do you think about this division between EU or European leaders? And also, what do you think if there was to this trilateral talk was to take place? Do you suggest any other better city or state which could welcome these three leaders?
Hi, Zelensky has put forward meeting in other countries, including Qatar, throwing that one in the mix. As the Dutch minister said, having a meeting around a table, that is a good thing. Of course, there is this whole thing of the international court, people turning around and going, Putin should be in The Hague. I am not in any way excusing the fact that there was an invasion on February 22. There is also issues in regard to children that are missing. We look at the devastation in the Ukraine and the amount of people that are being killed on both sides. That is a fact. But we also need people to come round the table to stop this, to end this. Now, it's also been reported in the last couple of days that with President Trump then meeting with Zelensky saying, you're going to have to accept this border, which basically is mooted out there, yet to be really firmed and confirmed in these discussions to say, well, this is how far Russia has come. I've had a chat with Vladimir. Basically, this is the land you will have to give up. If those comments are real, then that has to be then put on the table as well. And of course, Zelensky will not be happy with that at all. But getting people around a table to have a face-to-face discussion is a very important thing. What you have commented on, what you've asked me, where it's the division within Europe, yes, because there is this constant people that turn around and go from maybe they're accused of being populist, maybe accused of being right wing. Then we have within Europe, you have a left wing socialist mindset. So all of these ideologies will then clash within the European Parliament and then within thinking. But the issue is, as I have said to you a number of times on this channel, is getting people around the table is the most important thing to then end this war as quickly as possible. But I'm not excusing the fact that there was an invasion into a sovereign country on February 2022, and also under the Biden regime, all it was providing ammunition, etc., support for Ukraine, but not actually working out any way to get people around the table to end this. And you have to give President Trump a hat tip to the fact that that is what he is then trying to do, in my opinion. Asuma.
Yes, indeed. It is very important to get these leaders get together and talk for the solution. And this morning we saw this news coming in from Russia that they are looking for a fundamental resolution to this war. How do you think, how would this look like, this fundamental resolution in definition, and how could it differ from previous peace efforts, all of them which have failed so far?
You and I have discussed on this channel, we have to then paint an art. We're aware of the fact that Putin had built up a war chest to do the actions and take the actions that he did in February 2022. We're aware of that. That's either that is selling energy to European countries and beyond, China, etc. That is out there, that is on the table. And also their economy is not in a very good shape at all, even though that may be denied. But if for these reasons then, is it being mooted? Is Putin then coming to the table realizing that he then has to end this? This has to stop. We've also got to be aware of, with what happened in the Shanghai Conference Organization, who was there, that they are all with his links with then Iran, China, North Korea. There is this whole thing of then trying to change the hegemony of America being first, but to then push as they want to be first. It's all in these mix. All of these things are in the background. All we can pray and hope is that there will be a discussion around a table to end this. But we may then suddenly find that Putin then feels that there's fresh energy, fresh wind in his sails, because who he feels is then backing him. We have got to have our eyes everywhere on this, and particularly the influence of China. But as you and I have constantly said, it's where people are buying their energy from. How do you then bring even more sanctions? The European Union are doing that, to then try and stop these actions of Russia and bring them to the knees and bring them to the table. Asima.
Yes, indeed. And also, many multi-layers to this. And also, now looking at Lithuania's strong remarks about this situation of hosting Putin in Europe, how do this strong remark reflect broader divisions even in like close countries within Europe, like Lithuania, Hungary? And do you think they will continue to engage with Russia diplomatically? They are since engaging with Russia diplomatically, even though the war is ongoing. How do you think about Europe trying to maintain a unifying state? Do you think
it's the number. Sorry to jump in there.
No,
it's the number
ahead.
one thing in the fact that if you are pushing propaganda, then you want to create division on the other side to then benefit yourself. But on the other hand, you've got to remember where historically where these people, where the borders are, how far they are away from Russia, whether they are buffering Russia, the relationships that they'd had, of course, when the wall came down in 1989, and then the breakup of the Soviet Union, and then countries then seeking independence from that system. That is constantly always in the mix, and they're always. This is taking for them historically. This is taking time for them to evolve from what we would call a communist system into a more democratic system, into more of a capitalist system. It's all a mix of all those countries, and understandably, the countries are very concerned because they turn around and say, well, if Putin's done that and invading Ukraine in February 2022, then where else is he going to go? That has always been part of the chatter and the lexicon there. And remember, we've got to throw this in regard to Hungary. Viktor Orban, his own personal history, of Hungary. Viktor Orban, of course, had his run-ins with the Soviet Union, with the communist regime. He is also trying to put first the economy of his country. He also is trying to have good relationships with Russia, as we've said before. Remember, they then get some energy off Russia, and also Hungary is looking at leaving the ICC and membership of that because they feel that it's very, very politically motivated, and we could say that in regard to other decisions that it makes about other countries, and that's a subject for another matter, and that includes Israel as well. So that is what they're concerned about. But I come back to this. At the end of the day, if we can get these people around the table and to stop this, then that is a good thing, because the way this is happening, otherwise this theater of what is going on, we're going to need to negotiate this, need to get these people around this table, etc. It never happens. They may nearly get there, but it never happens. And you are right, as you have alluded to, and others, we need to then see Zelensky and Putin around a table. That is going to be difficult to get to that point, but we must try to do that to the best of our ability. But you are right, when it sows division, because countries are concerned, as I just said, where their history and where their borders lie. Asima.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Mark Sutherland, for joining us and sharing that insight throughout this topic. Now we move to Middle East. 8 trucks carrying fuel